At the time, he was a wanted man in the UK. Anyway, I had met him a good few times through family back in the UK before he had to disappear abroad, and always got on well with him. So straight away I agreed to take the job on as one of the minders on the boat. The first job was to leave from Tenerife, so we set off early doors to sail from Gran Canaria and got there in more than enough time to accept our very rich and very, very powerful cargo and his guest, a large Arab-looking man in his 30s, that I later found out was some sort of tribal leader from nearby Morocco on the northernmost tip of North Africa and famous for, certain exports, shall we say. Anyway, they made themselves comfortable and off we went to sea for a few miles. Gary had a new boat by now, a really big, luxurious cruiser. God only knows where he got the money from for that, which was just as well, as apart from me and Gary, there were two main men. They each had some minders with them. The Arab brought 3, and the Englishman, as I shall refer to him, 2 plus me as his third. When they got down to talks down below in the lounge type area, with the leather seats and moulded tables and large TV, it was a pretty cool boat that Gary had bagged himself. Drinks were served, and all but one minder each were asked to stay. The most trusted, I guess. I was shocked when I got up to go out of the cabin and the Englishman called me back to stay with him as his most trusted. When I asked him about this later in the day, he explained that he knew the other guys better. He had known them longer, but with me, he knew my family and had known them for a lot of years. And to him, family meant more. Not only do I know you, Stu, but I know your family. I know your upbringing, and I know your morals and what you believe in, he went on. I suppose there was a compliment in there somewhere. The conversations went on for a couple of long, boring hours. The details of the conversations are not something that I would ever divulge and will take to my grave. And then they reached a deal. As soon as they had, it was back to Tenerife where we swapped the Arab and his entourage for 5 stunning girls in bikinis. The day was looking up. We all set off again, this time all of us, with the exception of Gary, who was tasked to sail us back to Gran Canaria, partied. And we partied hard. Drinks were flowing, and Colombian marching powder aplenty for those that partook in such activities. I have to say, the birds in bikinis knew just how to party, and were very friendly indeed. The following morning, I woke up on the boat in one of the beds, with not one, but 2 of the bikini girls, minus the bikinis. So lucky me? I should say so. Good night had by all. I never did get their names, even though this wasn't the last I saw of them. For this job, I didn't only get very well paid, but also came under the protection of the Englishman, should I wish to use it, which is something maybe I should have when I had a situation where I could have used his help later in this book, but always chose not to. As much as me and the Englishman remain firm friends, even today when he is now on holiday at the pleasure of Her Majesty, you know what it's like with these people, the big men, the gangsters, the faces. You ask for one favour and they own you. You will be paying it back for the rest of your life. Anyway, I was back on the door on a night time and was doing about one of these trips a week, which paid about double what I made in a week on the door. But I never knew if there was going to be another trip, and I couldn't rely on them. The script for them all was more or less the same. Successful talks, and we partied hard all night with the girls. But sometimes, when talks got sour, that's when I would really have to earn my money. When it went tits up, it went tits up. Sometimes the guests would have to leave the boat rather sooner than they wanted, if you get my drift. And some of them, at times, require some assistance if they were a little reluctant to disembark. After about 10 of these trips, the Englishman was suddenly arrested on some jumped-up charge by the Guardia, and in essence, placed on remand. If you ask me, this was a favour to the British police, who were as fast as they could preparing extradition papers. Surprisingly enough, through some kind of loophole, he did actually manage to get out of whatever this jumped-up charge was, and get out of jail. But by then, we all knew they were coming for him, and I sat and talked at length about what I thought he should do, and that was get on Gary's boat and get off to Morocco, or further into North Africa, get himself somewhere with no extradition treaty with the UK. But he didn't want to. He was tired by then, tired of running, tired of the life.